Hi, Elena.
Hi, Elena.
This is Jackie.
I'm Jamie.
And we have been reading your book, Onward, with our friends. And rather than write you an incredibly long email, we thought we would send you a podcast because we've watched some of yours.
Yeah.
Maybe we should tell her about us for a second.
Sure. I have been teaching for over 20 years. We'll just put it that way, over 20.
I thought you were going to start with the most important thing is that you're my sister.
Oh, well, yeah,
we're sisters.
Yes. And we actually live together, so that's been kind of fun. So we have our own teacher community.
And we parent together too. I don't know why we're telling you all this, but I have 2 boys, and she's like beta mom or super auntie or whatever.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I work in a middle school. I'm a behavior coach and on the leadership team at school.
Yeah, and she was a history teacher and all sorts of things.
Teach all the grades, all the things.
And I've been teaching about 10 years, and it was my second career. I taught first grade, now I teach third grade. I teach at an independent school. Kids a privilege, but...
I don't. I teach at a public school. I teach at the exact opposite. So.
My undergrad was in African American Studies. We're super passionate about social justice. And I guess I want to say that your book coming along in June was like... May, was Salvation. And I just gotten back from Mexico this spring. So your metaphor of the cenote was just like, oh, thank God.
Mm-hmm. So the book came, we sat out on the front porch and we started reading the introduction, and we were hooked. We were hooked. I mean, when you listed the 3 reasons, like teachers have to take care of themselves so that they can take care of their schools, so they can radically transform the world, I was like, this is the book for me.
Mm-hmm.
So
thank you for the 3rd tier, radically transforming the world.
Right. I mean, you know, that's...
And the 1st tier, take care of yourself.
And giving yourself permission. So that was really nice. And immediately we just decided we have to do a book club about this. And
we want to back up too.
Yeah.
To say that we've lived through a lot of traumatic experiences in our family life. And one of the traditions that we have coming out of that is we started a thing called Friday nights. And every Friday night in the winter months, we would invite 110 women or so or whatever. Anybody who knew us, could be total strangers. We would invite them to our house for dinner and wine and, you know, dessert and candles, and we'd clean and we'd make flowers and whatever. And we never knew who was coming, and their only connection was sort of,
through us.
Yeah, we know one of the, and we live with our mother too, and she would cook, which would make it possible, but we would clean. And our whole thing was our house had been such a difficult place, and the energy in here was so dark, and we had received so much help from others, and we wanted to give something back. And the thing we knew to give back is that unconditional love and acceptance. And we have had that practice for 3 years now of just hosting and knowing that just the right people will show up.
Yeah, so 150 people didn't show up, like 6 or 10 or at most, I think, 15.
Yeah.
But oftentimes, so it would be the perfect collection of women. So we have had some nice practice at hosting gatherings and thought we should do this because, you know, cultivating emotional resilience in educators is a passion for both of us. So anyway, so we put out the word, and, you know, to me, you know, we're doing sort of a PD, but like buy your own book and do it in the summer and don't get paid. And like 40 people were like, yeah, I'm totally all into that. Again, 40 people were all into it, and, you know, a handful would show up on any given time, but, you know, just the right people, and it really struck a chord with a lot of folks. So our first...
Well, can we just say that we're going to go backwards, and we're just going to talk about, actually, because last night is why we're podcasting you. I mean... And we'll try to keep it brief. And if you want more, we'll tell you more. But we're going to go backwards. But let's just start with imagine that we've already had a book club for June, July, and August, which we have. But the distance between August and September is a year. right?
Yep.
And the book club that we had last night, the fact that we even had it.
Oh yeah, multiple conversations.
The fact
we
that
want to
we
cancel. Let's not do it. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I'm too tired. I came home and literally laid on the couch for, like 40 minutes before everybody came over getting ready.
And we have so much experience doing these things, and the difference between I'm sorry that this is taking a moment to get this thought out. The execution of it and the magic of it, we know to anticipate that. We know the work, the dread, the uncertainty, and that it'll unfold and that we'll always feel good. And even so,
Right.
with all that experience, it was hard to do. So we're not trying to say this as we're hooray, but getting these going is huge. And we want to help with that any way we can, because what happens is so astonishing once you dive in and just do it. So Jamie right here, right now, she doesn't normally podcast.
Nope.
Normally we think, oh, I don't have my makeup done. Oh, blah, 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 all that crap. But here she is with her Just Breathe.
Yeah.
And here I am. So thank you so much for setting up this framework. And I will just say I was exhausted. And we ended up having 6 people, which was a miracle to us. But and this was the format that we did last night that we're going to tell you about, and it just builds from what we were doing. We always print out your resilience manifesto, and we generally start soft by letting everybody just check in with one of these just choose one that speaks to you tonight.
Right. So for me, it has, prior to last night, has been I can't even remember. But last night for me, it was a wellspring of resilience is inside of us. We are stronger than we think, because I had an incredibly hard week. And so to me, that was, I am stronger than I think. I needed to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was nice because everybody else kind of chose the one that speaks to them, and on different weeks, different ones speak to them. So it's a really nice ritual to get us started.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could have easily passed over that, but I feel really glad that we do that. We start every meeting with that.
Yeah. And we have 2-hour book clubs, and we say
it's like the steps.
Yeah, it is. We come out of Al-Anon and all of that. So it's so grateful that you have a manifesto and that it's grounded in principles. But I got to tell you, I forgot all the principles between August and September, pretty much. Because it's just so intense. So then the activity that you had in the workbook, we can't do them all or anything like that. But we always have some sort of since none of these people know each other, I mean, some of them do, but we invite educators, administrators, teachers, support staff, whoever we know from all our walks of life, we invite. And so we always need to have some sort of get to know you thing. And you put this list in of storytelling prompts, and I turned them into cards, and they just got together in pairs and maybe each person pulled out a couple and then chose one story to tell. So this one, tell me about someone in your life who's really important to you. And they broke off in pairs and did this. And I have to tell you, you know this, but I have to tell you, the sound was so magical. It so filled my heart, because the sound of storytelling, as you know, is so different than the sound of unloading at the end of the day or the sound of anything. It's such a different sound, and it just filled me up, and it filled all of us up, and
we all came in dog tired. I don't know, we had one other one at night, and we had offered people something to drink, and they all had sparkling water, but last night it was all wine. Break out the wine. But I think people were really, once we got started, it was really nice to, and several people were late, and that was okay. And so because they were late, we decided to do, we have 8 different decks of tarot.
Yeah, which was fun. It's just a prompt. We let people just hold. This isn't boring. You probably don't want to know this, but, we just held the card, and then we just what is your sense for, just ask the card something, or don't ask it, or how are you doing? And it was just so fun to introduce them to that, to shift out of that to shift into the cenote. And you shift into the cenote when you shift into story, when you shift into presence, when you shift into listening. You know all this, but we have to experience it, and have opportunities to experience it. So we shift, then we come in and we debrief about that. And that's lovely. And then we always have and I won't go into each meeting and what the debriefing is like, but then we choose an activity from your workbook to do. We do a general, open up kind of blather, talk about the book in general. Depends on how many people we have, because we either have to break out into groups of 4, or last night it was small enough to hold group. And then we did one of your Onward workbook lessons. But, it's interesting because Jamie and I have to curate it and choose one. So the thing that we cued in on was trust last night. And as always happens, it was magical, and we felt renewed, and the conversation was riveting and stunning and whatnot, and hooray. So then we thought, and then I'll turn it over to Jamie. We just thought, we want to tell you about this. And we have another big ask later, but don't let that worry you. We just want to know you more. But we wanted to share some more of what we've been up to.
So our very first meeting, so I'm kind of a pretty practical. Jackie's very aesthetic. And so we, for the very first meeting, wanted it to feel really special. It's June. We've just gotten done teaching, and so we took your resilience, I took your resilience manifesto, and we made a set of cards that has each one of the things, the principles on it. And so I won't go through all of that. And then we took the mantra for June and made that into a card. And then we did the activity that we did for June was around the values. So kind of made a core values. So we went through that, and everybody got their 3, and then they had an opportunity to write that. And we made a little bag for everybody with all the stuff in it, and then we've kind of added to it as we've gone along. So when they came in July, made another July mantra card. And then I loved the last quote from the last part of the chapter about emotions, about places being, where we thrive and reclaim. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't read it if I'm looking at it. Anyway, so it's the very last sentence of the chapter on emotions. And then, I just made this one. And it was interesting to us. Anyways, let me just do the cards. And then in August, did the mantra card again. And then I'm going to talk about last night. So I don't know if you'll notice. So if you can see, these are all kind of pinky and colorful and all that. And then last night I went to go make the mantra card, and we ran out of colored ink, and it just kind of felt kind of appropriate for September, the second week of school, third week of school. So, but it was also a super appropriate mantra for last night, because we were surrounded by loving people and choosing people and making this community. So the cards have been really fun to kind of make
like a give back to the people who come.
Right, so made one about telling empowering stories. This one I've been using a lot because I've had a project I've had to do by myself that's very public, and so I have that sitting in front of my computer. And then I made one about whatever. My sister gets impatient.
Well, no, we just don't have a long
setting intentions. Well, because I made this anyways. And then we bring a lot of Brene Brown into the work, because I think she's very complimentary with what you talk about. So in the July, the emotion chapter, that was really hard for us to figure out what to do, how to lead that. And I don't know why, because we're very in tune with our emotions. But then we had a hit our eureka, and Jackie made these.
they're just, but deciding on which emotions to put in here, we decided to go with Brene Brown's, because there's obviously so many you could choose from. And I don't know if you told us to do this or we invented it, but it was incredible. It's just like the telling a story. You were in a group and you maybe got 3 cards, and then you decided to tell a story, so it always leaves a choice. It's always an invitation. We have a yoga background, so we invite you to blah blah blah. Right. It's never like, so if I had these 3 cards, we invited our guests to tell a story about a time they felt lonely at work. And the point of the topic of the conversation was the emotion itself, which we've almost never had conversations. We could do this every time. It was so rich and wonderful, just unpacking lonely and loneliness, or say that was the one you had. It just really filled us up.
Yeah. So it went from being, something that we super stressed about to being like so amazing and magical and fun. And another thing that was kind of fun that we did, so when everybody did their core values at the beginning, I took those core values, the ones that everybody chose as theirs, and I made us a Wordle with our group's core values, and this is our sort of what do they call that? The page for. So we've made an Onward book club Facebook group. Yeah, the homepage. That goes with that. So anyway, so people really kind of like that. So
yeah, but our intention to writing you today is to thank you, and also, I guess, just to say how amazing your work is and how on board we are, and also to acknowledge the driving thing is your tier 3. Like, giving it the meaning and the purpose of I want to create a world that's a better place for kids and me and the earth itself. And because it's as you know, it's a slow build. We have some nights we have 6 people come, some nights there's more, and you have to, as hosts of this, or as somebody who wants to bring it into your school, to inspire people. I mean, the fact that you wrote the material, again, bravo for you. The fact that you put so many options out there, bravo for you.
And that it has so much, to me, in my, there's the flexibility, but there's so many access points, and then also you spend a lot of attention on, culturally relevant practice and really being a social, like a social justice warrior in this. In the current chapter talking about the Black principle and, those pieces, like that's infused all the way through. So we had our welcome back so I'm on the leadership team at my school, and all the principals gather, and the superintendent, and I work for Madison Public Schools, and it's, there's hundreds of us, and our superintendent's pretty great, and she's kind of leading us in something of this direction, and I couldn't help, as I was listening to her speak, think this is a book you've got to read. And so I sent her an email, and I'm like, I think you really need to check this out. And so she ended up ordering your book and gave it to our head of professional development and learning. And, so I don't know where that will go from there, but everybody who encounters this book feels like this is what I want to be learning about. I have another principal friend in a neighboring district. He's bringing this book to his colleagues. Another friend of mine's got it in her school, that people are doing these studies. But
paradigm shift.
Yeah, totally.
Or
I'm thrilled.
Synergistic change or whatever. A movement.
Yeah, and I was going to do a separate one for my own building, and we're all exhausted. And so I have not done it yet, just because I think I'd be run out of town. But I will. But I'm so thankful that we started this right away in June, because I think having the head start and having 3-4 months of habit or practice has made it such that, of course, we're going to do this. So, kind of a tale of 2 starts.
Or even if we start more in June, because I'm trying to start one at my work too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, so it's been really exciting. It's been super well received. And I think the community, I mean, people talked a lot about how much they appreciated the opportunity to talk about real things and to be in a sacred space. So so that feels really nice, and it's nice for us to have a framework to have that conversation.
And as you suggest, taking care of self does trickle into the classroom. And very briefly, your story about the spider at the end of this chapter and the strength of their web and that metaphor of empathy. I got the first and third graders for the first time in my career. I went and I contacted the administrator who writes all the bills, and when I wanted to know the name of everybody who worked in the school, and I told the kids, which is true, you feed me and you help me, you give me energy, and what a thrill it is to work with you. But there are so many adults who serve this school that don't have the joy of being in contact with you, yet they are helping make this possible. And I know this is like standard school stuff, but the names of the people, Wagatu, Samati, Moses, Abraham, obviously these are folks who are, immigrating here. I mean, I don't know if I should say obviously, but they are. I know actually they are. And it was just such a joy to have the kids with their, how children are. They're just so beautiful. Their illustrations, their drawings, their words, and present those to these people and to really intentionally make that culture of care come alive. So the fact that you are inspiring this or part of this or on this, we're so grateful. And we also just want to say we want to work with you. It's hard work. So we feel like we all need support in this.
Mm-hmm. I'm super excited for next month's chapter. I mean, I had originally intended to read the whole book. I didn't do that. So I am literally a step ahead when we have our group. But I did see that next month is all about mindfulness and being present, and I'm on the core practices team for my district about mindfulness, and so I'm excited that that's in there, and that staff and teachers and educators who read this book are going to have an opportunity to hook into that practice as well. So I just, each time I turn to a new chapter, I'm so excited by what you've decided to include.
Yeah, and thank you for your newsletter and for your video and for anything that helps it make it easier for us to spread your message. And the ask that I alluded to at the beginning, it was just maybe someday we could Skype with our book club or something, but way down the line or whatever. We're
meeting the second Fridays of the month.
Yeah, the second Friday of the month, 6:30 to 8:30
p.m. Central.
Yeah. So anyways, we just wanted to send our love and thank you for all you're doing. I know from podcasts, this is going to take 3 hours to upload, but we'll upload it on a YouTube video and send it to you. And we're wishing you well, and thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, a lot.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.